My name is Janine Munyeshuri, and it's my great joy and honor today, to facilitate a conversation among these 5 young professionals, and with you, the room. We would like this panel and this conversation to be engaging and to be personal. So I won't take long introducing them and reading their biographies. Rather, you will get to discover who they are as they speak and discuss. The theme for this panel is preserving memory and sustaining gains in a disruptive age. It covers a lot of ground. We have split it into 4 chapters. So, first of all, as you can notice, the panel is very diverse. We have 3 continents represented today under one flag. And I think this is also the image of Rwanda today. The panelists tonight are leaders in their own specific field. I think it's Mr. Petri who mentioned that we should never ask, the young people should never ask the permission to take moral leadership. And I must acknowledge that each of you is very inspiring and is a leader. Right to my left, Moses Turahirwa. Next to Moses is Letitia Shrangok. Next to Letitia is Emmanuel Ndeyizidie. On Emmanuel's left is Jessica Gerondal Mwiza, and on the far left is Laure Iaga. So one question for you. Most young people I meet feel overwhelmed. When we speak about preserving the memory, they feel like it's too much. They don't know where to start the conversation, or they think they are not ready, or they don't know enough. I would like all of you to share with us if there was, in your own experience, a defining moment when you felt you were custodians of this memory. Because before preserving and transmitting, there's to feel like I am responsible for something. So was there such a moment for you, Moses?
Thank you so much, Janine. In my field as a fashion designer and mostly in the arts and culture, I always feel like we owe it to our country, we owe it to Rwanda to preserve what we've gained as the youth of Rwanda, or what our elders have did for us. So there is a lot, there is a diversity of culture and things that inspire us to move forward. And I feel like it also connects us as a humanity, and it gives us more identity, not only with what we've left in the past, but what is the present. And it always questions myself, what am I doing as a creative, as an artist? What am I doing for my country? And I feel like there is a lot to explore. There is a huge Rwandese culture, and it needs to be shared with the world. So there is also an effort for us, the youth, and to preserve it. There is a free playground that we've been given. There is an opportunity that we have as the youth of today that will always push us, be like, what can I do to contribute to all this growth? And nothing is left out. Arts, culture, and we have a lot to explore. Then we see the impact with what we share with the world and the aspect. And people have been healing with different things. There are people who are affected with patterns, theater, photography, and all aspects of art. And we have to use our platform as well for the positive impact. And it's working for...
Excuse me to interrupt you. Was there a moment when you felt, me, Moses, I must do something to preserve this memory?
Yeah. That's the moment when I realized what we have as Rwanda and what defines us as Rwandese. And I tried to explore the culture because I felt like I owe it to my country. I have to do something, and something that reflects to my home country, something that I can share with my fellow Rwandese people and the whole world. So the passion, the love of art and culture, and having the freedom to express myself through that have pushed me a lot to do something and be able to shine as a youth of today.
So you felt you had to?
Yeah.
How about you, Laetitia?
D'abord, je voudrais m'excuser pour ma voix. J'ai la grippe depuis lundi, mais je voulais vraiment être là. Donc j'espère que vous arriverez quand même à me comprendre. Oui, moi, il y a vraiment un moment, je peux m'en rappeler très clairement, c'était il y a un peu plus d'1 an. En février 2018, après avoir lu une carte blanche écrite par un pseudo-défenseur des droits de l'homme qui invitait à tous les Rwandais de Belgique à dialoguer. Et donc, j'ai lu cette lettre, la première moitié était impeccable. J'étais d'accord avec lui, je me disais oui, à première vue, c'est une très bonne idée. Et après avoir fini ma lecture, j'ai réalisé que c'était du négationnisme pur et dur, mais exprimé de façon très subtile. Et ça m'a vraiment rendue malade, quasiment physiquement. Et j'ai passé 3 jours à y réfléchir en me disant mais qu'est-ce que je peux faire? Et ensuite, donc j'ai passé le week-end à rédiger une réponse qui ensuite était publiée donc dans le même journal qui avait publié cette lettre originale. Et ça m'a amené en fait à rencontrer des gens qui pensaient comme moi. Et donc c'est comme ça que j'ai eu ma révélation.
Emmanuel?
Thank you very much. Firstly, we thank all who contributed in one way or another in the war of liberating our nation. I usually ask myself what might happen if the RPF didn't come for intervention to liberate our nation, because I heard during the genocide against Tutsi, after killing those innocent, the killers have been started killing themselves, because for fighting against those properties of innocents, for fighting for the cows, for fighting for the land, different properties of those innocent died. So from deepest bottom of our hearts, we really thank you for what you did to be who we are today. So if I come back on your question, preserving the memory and sustaining the gain, for me, the one thing comes first is about patriotism. This Rwanda we have today, we have to fight for it. Because, as I said, they did their contribution. So this is our time to contribute. Preserving the memory requires first to feel that we are Rwandans. Then, after feeling that we are Rwandans, what we can do to save our nation. So this will help us, will push us to do whatever possible to save our nation. So sometimes these foreign languages inhibits us to explain what we want. Iki kintu cyo gukunda igihugu. Iki kintu cyo gukunda igihugu mureke tugishyiremo ingufu. Icyo twakora cyose tudakunda igihugu, abari hano bamba bari kubavuga izina bakabarebe batito njya mbumva barwaniriye, niba tutagikunze niyo mpano yonyine twahawe n'Imana. Ibi ndabivugira iki? Umuntu abari hanze iyo muri Amerika, aho muri Aziya, icyo ukoze cyose muramfasha abo batumva ikinyarwanda mu masobanurire, ni nabyo byiza. Tujya hanze nabo bakavuga muzi yandimi, ni nabyo byiza, tubivuge mu rurimi rwacu dushoboye. Icyo ukoze cyose waba wibye wakoze neza wapfuye mu mbabarire ntawe mbyifuriza ariko baravuga ngo ninde ni umunyarwanda. Why do we want to destroy our identity? Kera ku bwami murabindusha mwebwe ingabo zateraga harimo abega abanyiginya aho bantu batandukanye, igihugu cyaterwa nabo bakagitabara nk'abanyarwanda. Ntihagendaga abatutsi ntabwo hagendaga abahutu, abantu barashyingiranaga murabindusha muri bakuru kuri jyewe. Ibyo byose ni amateka twereka yuko mbere u Rwanda kugira ngo rube u Rwanda twabanje kuba umwe, to be united. Abakorone tubivuge kuko niko byagenze, baraza badupima amazuru, badupima ibirenge, badupima indeshyo, baduteza indwara y'amacakubiri. Umubyeyi akica umwana we, umugabo akica umugore we bararanye, wamutekeye wamwogeje. But we still have a chance to make our lovely country great again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wenda amaye undi munota umwe
urafite
ntago aho nta handi bizava gusubiramo za ndangagaciro nk'abanyarwanda tukigishwa gukunda igihugu. Bajya bavuga ndi umunyarwanda, ndayumva ariko nijye mu mitima yacu. Hari igihe abantu basenga bajya ngo bavuga ngo ibintu ngo tubisenga bijye mu mitima. Natwe ndi umunyarwanda nijye mu mitima yacu. Ibintu byigishwe mu mashuri, byigishwe mu midugudu, hahandi ku maziko habera ingengabitekerezo. Reka aba ariho duhera twigisha abana, tubabwire uko u Rwanda rwo ku bwami rwari rumeze, icyatumye jenoside iba, tubasobanurire n'impamvu iyi jenoside uburyo twayirinda. Niba ibyo bidakozwe tumenye yuko u Rwanda rwacu turimo turarutanga mu menyo y'abanzi. Dukora iki kintu kuko niba tutabikoze, niba tutigishije gukunda igihugu, ni ikintu nabonye gikomeye cyane. Kumva kuri umunyarwanda, nabona mugenzi wanjye w'umunyarwanda duhuriye hanze, nkumva ko mbonye mushiki wanjye, nkumva ko mbonye mwene wacu. Ibi bizatuma nibaza kuki jenoside yabaye, kuki abatutsi bapfuye, niki twakora ngo bitazongera kubaho. Nabona urwibutso, sinumve ko ari urwibutso rw'abatutsi, numve ko ari urwibutso rw'abatutsi bapfuye ariko ari abanyarwanda, ari mubyara wanjye urimo, ari mwene mama urimo hariya. Kuko twamaze kuba abanyarwanda, ntabwo u Rwanda ruzigera rurokorwa n'abagande. Ni urwacu, ntabwo ari abatanzania, ntabwo ari abarundi. We have to fight for.
Sisi wenyewe.
Murakoze.
Jessica, je reprends la question pour toi parce que Emmanuel a un peu divergé. Est-il eu un moment dans ta vie où tu t'es dit je suis gardienne de la mémoire?
Il y a un moment, mais je crois qu'il va me falloir du temps pour contextualiser,
s'il te plaît.
Si tu me permets. Parce qu'en fait, je pense que mon histoire ressemble à celle de d'autres métis rwandais qui peuvent vivre en Europe ou ailleurs. Donc je suis née en 92 en France. Et je suis ce qu'on appelle communément une métisse, même si j'aime vraiment pas le mot. Pour une raison toute simple, on n'appelle pas un métis un italo-canadien ou un franco-allemand. Non, le métis, c'est toujours le noir qui a été dilué, mélangé avec une autre origine. Et pour moi, ce mot, c'est un terme colonial. C'est un terme esclavagiste. Mais dans le même temps, il est quand même pratique pour expliquer la position complexe qui fait que dans nos deux cultures, après ça dépend vraiment des cas, mais on peut ne pas vraiment être intégré, voilà, dans un endroit où on est blanc, dans l'autre on est noir. Et on n'est jamais vraiment partie intégrante d'un groupe, quoi. Ceci étant dit, en 94, lors du génocide contre les Tutsis, mes grands-parents ont été tués, ainsi que leurs plus jeunes enfants. Ils avaient presque tenu bon. Ils ont été tués en juillet. Et avec ma mère, mon père et mon frère, c'est ma mère qui était rwandaise, nous étions donc en France. Après le génocide, ma mère est entrée dans une profonde dépression qui a mené à de nombreuses autres maladies. Et elle a mis en fait 8 ans à succomber de ce chagrin immense. Et elle mourut en 2002. En plus de ça, il y a quelque chose dont je me suis rappelée récemment, c'est que les médecins français n'ont pas pris vraiment en compte sa douleur. Ça a été, ça n'a pas été pris au sérieux. Ils pensaient qu'elle faisait semblant, que c'était un petit peu quelque chose qui se rapproche du syndrome méditerranéen. Les Noirs, les Arabes, on pense toujours en France que quand ils ont mal ou qu'il y a un problème psychologique, c'est un petit peu exagéré. Et donc en 2002, j'avais 8 ans et j'ai très vite mis un voile sur cette histoire en fait qui était trop douloureuse pour moi. Sauf que ça n'a pas vraiment fonctionné parce que mon histoire, je la portais sur mon visage de métisse. Et ma malchance dans tout ça, c'est d'avoir grandi dans le sud-est de la France, qui est une région vraiment extrêmement raciste. Il y a un problème global de racisme en France, mais le sud-est, c'est vraiment quelque chose. Et donc j'étais dans un département, dans une ville où les responsables politiques locaux avaient par exemple l'habitude, dans les années 70-80, d'appeler les immigrés comme des insectes à exterminer, comme des moustiques, des choses comme ça. C'était vraiment dans les discours politiques. Après, dans les années 90, début 2000, ça a commencé à disparaître parce que quand même, il y avait toute une législation qui aurait pu les embarrasser. Mais le racisme ne s'est pas atténué. Bien au contraire, ça a continué. Il n'y avait pas vraiment de remise en cause, en tout cas. Et c'est ces Français-là qui, par leur racisme et leurs incessantes questions sur mon mélange, entre guillemets, qui m'ont empêché de garder ce voile, en fait, sur mon histoire, sur notre histoire. Et à cette époque-là, j'avais juste la nationalité française. J'étais évidemment complètement française. Mais quand on me posait la question « D'où viens-tu ?» et que je répondais « Je suis née à Lille, dans le nord de la France », je voyais tout de suite que les visages se tordaient de frustration, littéralement. « Comment ça, tu viens du nord de la France ?»« Non, non, non. D'où tu viens ?» Et donc, j'ai commencé à être un petit peu forcée de répondre « Je suis aussi rwandaise. » Et donc, à réfléchir à l'histoire de ma famille. Peut-être qu'il faut que je les remercie au final, ces racistes-là.
C'est ce que j'allais dire.
Et à l'adolescence, à partir de 12 ans, il y a eu des questions qui se sont faites un peu plus précises quand je répondais que j'étais rwandaise et française. On me disait ah ouais, d'accord, mais du coup, t'es quoi? T'es Hutu, t'es Tutsi? Voire même des fois, on me demandait t'es Tutu, t'es Hutsi? Ou alors des questions comme mais ta famille, c'est ceux qui ont massacré ou c'est ceux qui ont été massacrés? Et vraiment comme ça, avec un ton que j'oublierai jamais, de dédain, de supériorité, de suprématie. Et quand j'avais 15 ans, ils avaient gagné, j'étais vraiment en colère. Et j'avais accumulé toute cette colère et j'ai décidé de militer. Voilà. Donc sur le Rwanda, j'ai mis un peu plus de temps, évidemment, pour lire l'histoire, parce que moi et mon frère, nous n'avions personne pour tout nous expliquer, pour nous raconter l'histoire. Mais une fois que j'ai pu prendre ce temps, j'ai commencé à militer sur la transmission de la mémoire.
Donc tu arrives dans la transmission de la mémoire par l'antiracisme.
Exactement. Ah oui.
Merci. Laura, was there such a moment for you as well?
Thank you, Janine. I think mine also goes back before even the genocide happened. I was born here in the country, and we left. My family and I left in 1990. We went to Burundi, and we lived there. We started school there. And even when we were in school, we would also I would always hear people say to me, like, you're Rwandan, Umunyarwanda, Abahunzi. And then I think also for those people who were out of the country, there was also meetings to come and liberate the country that would happen in different households in where people were living. And I remember on the 6th of April 1994, my mom came to my bedroom crying in a total panic. I really couldn't tell if she was happy or sad, but now when I think about it as an adult today, I think it was a mixture of both. She came and told me in Kinyarwanda, she said, "Lord, Habyarimana yapfuye." And it was a mixture of, she was afraid for her family that was here, but she was also, I think, I'm sure, happy for the fact that the regime was now
falling.
Fast forward, we came back to the country in towards the end of 1994 in December, and at that time my parents separated, so we came back with my mother only, and at the time I was 8 years old. So I quickly became, because I was the firstborn, I quickly became the next adult in the household. So having to help my mother, and as really a very young kid, and to some extent, I stopped being a kid at that particular point of time. And then eventually school started, and we all went back to school. But at that moment in time, my feeling was more of, because I had also noticed a lot of abuse in my family, and it was more like, how and why do families separate? You know, like, why do kids have to go through all those kind of things? But it wasn't until school started and we went back to school, and the first day of school, there's this other young boy who came and sat next to me. And I will never forget the feeling that I had in that particular moment, because I started sobbing. He had scars of machetes in his face, in the skull. And at that moment I realized that I had the least of problems. At that moment I realized that there's someone sitting next to me, and as a young kid, we were kids, but I didn't really know what to do but to cry. And for the whole time we spent together in primary school, we sat together. I always made sure that I was next to him. I didn't know any other way of being of help than to just be next to him, be present with him. Today he's a father too. He's a family man. He's a father, and life went on, and he lives. And next to that, something that I would, because mine is really a combination of many things. After that, there was other sequences of events of different sorts of abuses. So emotional abuse in the family, physical abuse as well, and up to a point of being sexually harassed. And at that point, it's a point where you don't really know what it is. You don't know the difference between what you first felt about your family separating, what you're noticing about another young boy next to you who's lost everybody, who has scars that he will never, ever get out of his body, and more importantly, the emotional wound that he carries with him. And now you're also in this situation where you still feel like there's little you can do, but there's also, you have the list of problems, even though you've gone through all those series of things. And growing up, I always wanted to do something, to help people, to it was a turning point in high school when I realized that everyone next to you has issues. But more to that, we all carry emotional wounds. All of us.
I'm going to stop you there because you're going too fast into the next question. Yeah. With this question of your moment of awakening, if I may say, and remembering and feeling yourself compelled to do something and being a custodian of the memory, I wanted all of you to share with us what were your tools. I know that Moses mentioned it before. It was fashion and art. What were your tools? What are your tools today?
Yeah, my tools, especially in the mental health field, is to encourage everybody to break the stigma around mental health, to help people understand that there's mental health which everybody has. There's mental health issues that can happen to anybody, but there's also mental health illnesses of which not everybody who has mental health issues is mentally ill. For people to be able to understand that, and for people to be able to get rid of the shame around the same topic, because you'll never hear someone being ashamed of having malaria, for example. But when it comes to having depression or bipolar or other mental issues, there's that shame. Now, my tool my first number one tool was to heal, was to do my healing journey and be able to fill my cup before the world can partake on it. And I don't know if you allow me just for 1 minute, I'd like to mention something around memory preservation, which is more in terms of for all of us to remember that to a big extent, we the survivors are the memory, the remaining memory. For all of us to be able to understand that one of the ways to preserve that memory and to sustain the gains is to document, to tell our stories, is to be able to be actively involved in the change that is happening, in reconstructing this country, not just in a physical and economical way, but also really taking care of the emotional healing, of the emotional wounds that we have, so that for the future generation we don't transmit the trauma, because it is actually a thing. Transgenerational trauma is a thing, and we all need to be very careful in terms of being able to heal so that the next generation has a better life.
We'll get back to the topic. I'm going back to Laetitia, je reviens vers toi. Tu racontes que ce moment, c'était une lettre que tu reçois et que tu découvres en fait en lisant que c'est subtilement négationniste. Et à ce moment-là, quelle est ta réaction et quels sont tes outils aujourd'hui pour à la fois préserver la mémoire et éventuellement lutter contre le négationnisme?
Je pense que je dois d'abord un peu revenir en arrière pour remettre mon engagement au contexte.
Ok.
Donc, à la base, je viens d'une famille qui est absolument pas politisée. Et d'ailleurs, mon lien avec le Rwanda a longtemps été assez lointain. Parce que ma mère est rwandaise, mon père est vietnamien, je suis née au Burundi, j'ai grandi en Belgique depuis mes 5 ans.
This is a Rwandan story.
Voilà. Donc depuis, à la maison, on parlait français. Ma mère avait des amis rwandais, mais on m'a pas appris le Kenya-Rwanda. Et à la maison, on parlait jamais de politique, jamais entendu de discussion animée sur l'état du pays, par exemple. Et donc, moi, je suis venue pour la première fois au Rwanda à 18 ans, pour le mariage de ma sœur, qui est venue s'installer ici. Et donc, en fait, je me définis comme une activiste accidentelle, parce que c'est pas ma personnalité, je suis pas à la base quelqu'un qui aime donner des coups, j'aime encore moins en prendre. Et,
ce qui est le plus important.
Et donc, voilà, on en revient à cette lettre. Moi, je suis chercheuse. Je suis chercheuse depuis maintenant 6 ans à Bruxelles. Et donc, si on parle d'outils, moi, mon outil, c'est l'écriture. C'est quelque chose que je fais plus ou moins bien et assez rapidement. Et donc là, ce que je fais depuis 1 an, avec d'autres, on a un groupe à Bruxelles, c'est qu'on essaye de plus laisser passer les propos négationnistes dans les médias. On essaye de réagir directement. Et donc, par exemple, il y a 2 semaines, il y a un article hallucinant qui est paru dans un hebdomadaire belge dont le titre était « Est-ce qu'un génocide a bien eu lieu au Rwanda ?» Et le contenu était, j'ose même pas en parler ici, mais c'était les poncifs habituels, donc guerre civile, manipulation des États-Unis, donc le génocide serait un complot des États-Unis pour contrôler le Congo, enfin c'était juste, voilà, j'ai lu ça, j'ai été énervée pendant un jour, et en fait Linda Melbourne, qui est ici, gentiment a accepté de m'aider à travailler sur un texte, une réponse, qui a été publiée 10 jours plus tard. Et d'ailleurs, je pense qu'on a touché une corde sensible, puisque donc la personne, le négationniste qui tenait ses propos, m'a envoyé un email hier. Il était assez agacé, il me proposait de me rencontrer pour qu'on en discute. Donc voilà, je pense qu'on arrive petit à petit à occuper l'espace et arrêter de laisser le champ libre à tous ces gens qui tiennent des propos abjects.
Je crois que Jessica a quelque chose à rajouter là-dessus en parlant d'activisme.
Oui. Sur l'activisme, j'ai pas mal tâtonné en fait. Au début, j'ai
cru encourageant, on veut savoir comment ça se passe.
Au début, j'ai cru que ça passerait par l'engagement politique. Donc j'ai été au mouvement des jeunes socialistes France pendant 8 ans, je crois, dont 5 ans en tant que secrétaire national. Et là, voilà, j'ai essayé vraiment d'imposer mes sujets, parce que c'est toujours comme ça que ça fonctionne dans une organisation politique. Et donc, je voulais imposer le thème de l'antiracisme et par la suite le militantisme sur la mémoire du génocide contre les Tutsis. C'était compliqué, parce que c'est toujours compliqué de faire comprendre que ces sujets sont importants. On nous rétorque toujours qu'il y a plus urgent. Non, attends, là, il y a la loi transition énergétique. Pendant 3 mois, tu peux pas parler de ça. Il y a plus important. Il y a toujours plus important, en fait. Donc, j'ai envie de dire des fois que j'ai perdu du temps, mais quand même pas, parce que ça m'a formée sur le militantisme. Et aujourd'hui, par exemple, ce que je sais faire, c'est gérer des réseaux, trouver les présidents d'associations antiracistes, des activistes, des personnalités, aller leur parler directement, les convaincre et faire en sorte qu'elles-mêmes, à leur tour, fassent le travail sur notre histoire. Donc c'est ce que je fais. Et j'agis aussi modestement par l'écriture. Et puis aussi par les conférences sur l'histoire du génocide contre les Tutsis dans les lycées et dans les collèges français, au nom d'Kwibuka France. Et vraiment, il y a un espoir quand je parle à cette jeunesse-là, les collégiens, les lycéens, parce qu'ils sont ouverts au changement d'état d'esprit surtout. Et on peut vraiment changer les mentalités avec eux. Avec ces générations, quand on parle de notre histoire, et notamment de la responsabilité de la France, il n'y a pas ce truc-là d'essayer de faire des pirouettes et de s'en sortir en parlant de l'honneur de la France, de la patrie, des droits de l'homme, des lumières, ce qu'ont tendance à faire les adultes en France quand on parle des responsabilités. Donc ils essaient pas de se sortir de notre histoire commune par des pirouettes, comme je disais. Ils acceptent leur rôle dans la transformation de nos sociétés, qui sont actuellement assez cassées par la haine et la méfiance de l'autre. On parle beaucoup, une fois que j'ai fini de leur transmettre vraiment l'histoire, les tenants et les aboutissants, de leur rôle politique en tant que futurs citoyens, de gens qui votent, de gens qui vont pouvoir interpeller les élus sur les questions de politique étrangère. Voilà pourquoi en France, en 2019, la politique étrangère se discute toujours à 3 personnes dans un bureau. Pourquoi ces 3 mêmes personnes dans un bureau peuvent envoyer l'armée absolument où ils veulent sans demander l'avis du Parlement. Pourquoi c'est encore normal aujourd'hui, en 2019. Donc ça, c'est vraiment une question dont vont devoir se saisir ces jeunes-là. Et ça fonctionne plutôt pas mal.
Je te remercie pour ce que tu fais. Je voulais insister, I wanted to insist on understanding the moment where we decide that this is us to do things. And thank you all for sharing your personal history. I'm going to come back to mental health or mental wellness, as Law corrected me yesterday. I think it was the previous panel, they were quoting Catherine Coquille, who was quoting Gaia Faye, saying that a genocide is not a disease, we don't cure it. It's something we live with, more or less uncomfortably. Through Jessica's story and through yours, Laura, we get the message that it was quite uncomfortable. Still, we have to face it. We have to confront it. I'm going to start with you, Emmanuel. Especially because you are a man, not against you. We say in Kinyarwanda ngo Maria y'umugabo atemba ajya mu nda.
I understand and that we have to understand what happened in our country. And we are the one to play the role to fight for. And as youth, I was thinking that you might ask me also the same question of the tool that we can use to fight for. But
please do.
Yeah, as I mentioned, my tool in this journey is the patriotism, as I mentioned. I can share you the example. I remember when I got this invitation of participating in this panel, I had the mission of presenting the agriculture in the World Bank, Washington, D.C. I've been invited for 3 months ago, and I get the invitation within 1 week, how we'll do these things. And I realized nothing which is greater than the event like this of commemoration, nothing greater to that. So, what I did, I took to the World Bank in Washington, D.C. You know, we have a commemoration period. I have to attend whatever we can do. I went on Monday, I reached there in Washington, D.C. Tuesday, I presented Wednesday. After presentation, I just come to the airport, I reached here Rwanda yesterday night. And after presentation, I told the audience, more than 500, the audience from different countries, I told, I have to go to participate in the commemoration period. You know that we had genocide against Tutsi, 1994. So, and you have to know that. So, the tool that I was saying, the patriotism, whatever we can do without patriotism, maybe after I will join Morichi so that I can be also a member in the Itorero. I've been in Israel, I told you, for 2 years. The Jews, what they do, they love their country. So if we really love this nation, everything will be possible.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can ending up by wishing you the blessings and wishing the blessings our lovely country, Rwanda, and the Rwandan people. Thank you.
So, Laura, coming back to mental health, as you can see, Emmanuel dodged the question. He didn't comment on the fact that men in our culture don't cry. And I think you, in your work, face it every day.
Yeah, it's true that we have such a saying that Amarira y'umugabo atemba ajya mu nda. It is also something that we notice with women sometimes. There's yes, that fact that men, young boys grow up being told to be men and to not cry and to not be like, to not be weak because it's associated as being weak. But there's also the fact that I think Rwandans have seen a lot to an extent that crying is no longer an option. And but now when it comes to mental health and mental wellness, the first thing that happens before someone heals is to acknowledge that they're actually not doing well. Vulnerability is not weakness, actually. There's this author called Brené Brown, and she mentions, she's a researcher on mental health and shame and courage, but she says that vulnerability is the most accurate measurement of courage. If anybody had to ask you of a thing that you had to do that required you to be vulnerable, but didn't require you to be courageous, you will not find any. I think even as the RPF came to liberate our country, they were in their most vulnerable spot, but it really required them a lot of courage to actually surpass that. So even when it comes to mental health, it is true that for the past 25 years we were busy with other things, rebuilding the country, putting food on the table, putting back kids to school, and all that. Today we have a life, and today what people are doing is more of looking at the quality of life, which also feeds into the mental wellness part of things. And I like what Major General Karamba mentioned earlier around in the lines of the last phase of the liberation struggle was to rehabilitate humanity. I think the present phase of our liberation is to actually rehabilitate the emotional part of us, the mental wellness, and to be able to, like you mentioned, we live with it. Does it heal? Yes. But it starts with recognizing that there's a problem, and then making that step. I think the first step is the hardest step to make, but it is possible to find solace and heal.
So yesterday, as we were discussing about this panel, you all mentioned that we were angry. She was angry, he's angry, but he's more contained. Emmanuel is always happy. Jessica is very angry. You yourself, you are angry. And anger is a fuel and can be an energy, but at the same time, it can eat us up. So how do we do? How do you do it, Moses?
Thank you. How do I deal with my anger, like in everyday life? And if I touch base on what I meet every day, I meet different people, men and women in my field. So Laure mentioned something about the mental illness, and I believe that there is different aspects of how people are healing themselves with something you can't even think of right now, or something you haven't experienced. But I had an experience with a woman. When I was starting designing, I was looking up different designers around the world, and most Africans were using like kitenge. So I made a blazer for her, and it was in a kitenge. And when she sees it, she was like, "Wa mwana we ninde wakubwiye gukoresha aya mabara?" Because she reflected it to what preparators used to wear, and amabara ya abachenges.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something that you can't imagine right now.
So it triggered a bad memory in her.
Yeah, it gave me a bad memory, and it pushed me to do a research, like what do we have as Rwanda? And I started to explore different motifs. We have beautiful geometric motifs that are fashionable, and from that time I stopped doing the kitenge. This is something that pushed me to learn about my country, about my culture, and I see the whole beauty in it. So in what we live in, the everyday life, we get to heal ourselves with what we hear, what we experience with our fellow Rwandans and wherever we are. And I was surprised when I attended like an international showcase. In different countries I go, people are like, you are from Rwanda. We have a designer from Rwanda. And the first question is always, are you Hutu or Tutsi? Then I told, if someone asked me, and I told her, we have a conversation about it later. Then after my showcase, she reformed the question. Then the first question she asked me, she was like, what inspired your creations? And I see that we have a lot that we carry as identity that we need to share with the world. And that deep sorrow that our parents, our fellow elders been living with, it pushes a lot to do better with today's generation, to show the renewed image of Rwanda through whatever we are doing.
The new, which is also old, because you are wearing this
exactly
patterns.
The new, which is revamped, that we had to think of and explore.
Thank you for sharing. I did not know that you avoided Kitenge. Now we know. We are moving to the third topic. All of you in your respective fields, you have acknowledged that there is a conducive environment in Rwanda, although you don't live in Rwanda. Actually, some of us don't live in Rwanda. I would just like to know how this conducive environment has led you to dare do new things. I will start with Emmanuel again. We understood that you are an agronomist because we had that summit in DC recently. So why did you choose agriculture? Do you think Rwanda allowed you to go into agriculture?
Okay. To build the country, we have different domains. We have soldiers, we have who build or let me call them engineers, who build the roads, who build the houses, who do electricity. So, but all together, the intention is to build our nation. So for me, in my career of being agronomist, I do whatever possible to play my role in the development of my country. So being an agronomist, I like and I love and I will continue so that as Rwandans, we will have the food whenever, wherever possible, and others, they will contribute in their domains because I really like agriculture. My contribution will be there for every time.
So you want to make sure there's food security for all Rwandans?
Of course, because whoever you are,
you eat.
You are a president, you are a minister, you are a technician, pilot for the aviation. After whatever you are doing, you need a food.
Thank you. Laetitia, est-ce que tu penses que l'État du Rwanda aujourd'hui a été un élément facilitateur dans tes recherches? Je sais que tu n'as pas que recherché sur le Rwanda.
Facilitateur, non.
Non?
Facilitateur, je sais pas. Parce que c'est très difficile en fait de parler du Rwanda en Belgique. Que ce soit dans un cadre académique ou même journalistique. Donc j'ai l'impression... Ah, ok, désolé. Donc non, ça n'a pas été un élément facilitateur parce que c'est assez difficile en Belgique, en Europe de manière générale, de parler du Rwanda en fait. Et je pense que ma vie aurait été au contraire plus facile si j'avais parlé de, je sais pas moi, de la culture de la pomme de terre aux Pays-Bas, parce que il n'y aurait pas tant de retours aussi négatifs. Et à ce propos, oui, honnêtement, quand je suis j'ai accepté de participer à ce panel parce que j'avais 2 idées en tête que je voulais transmettre. Donc la première, c'est à quel point la situation est difficile en Belgique quand il s'agit de la mémoire. Parce qu'au contraire, j'ai l'impression que le négationnisme est en train de s'accroître et de se complexifier. Et quand je parle à des gens au Rwanda ou même à des amis qui connaissent le Rwanda à Bruxelles, j'ai l'impression qu'ils réalisent pas à quel point c'est insidieux et les dégâts que ça peut faire sur le long terme. Parce qu'en fait, donc, je parlais de ce texte qui était à première vue innocent, mais en fait très pervers, et tout ça est porté par une galaxie négationniste. Vraiment, il y a des jeunes acteurs, des nouveaux acteurs qui sont hyper actifs et qui n'ont quasiment que ça à faire, qui sont juste là pour détruire. Et ils ont le champ libre parce que le public en Belgique est peu au courant des faits. Et donc, il y a toutes sortes d'énormités qui peuvent sortir. Et en fait, ce qu'ils font, c'est qu'ils critiquent le gouvernement actuel dans des termes qui plaisent aux Occidentaux. C'est vraiment des gens qui savent parler à l'oreille des Occidentaux. Et c'est une critique à portée rétroactive, en fait. Donc, ils ramènent tout à partir de 1990, du génocide, et au final, ils retombent sur un pied négationniste. Et en fait, c'est ça vraiment qui m'a motivée, c'est ce côté révisionniste, parce que, honnêtement, s'ils se contentaient de critiquer le Rwanda, je pense que le Rwanda n'a pas besoin de moi pour se défendre. Voilà, et donc c'est ça que je voulais dire, c'est que je ne sais pas si ici on réalise qu'il y a des gens très engagés qui sont organisés, qui ont des moyens et qui sont lancés sur une stratégie à long terme. Et quand je dis à long terme, c'est par exemple des campagnes de désinformation dans les médias. Et aussi, maintenant, actuellement, il y a une infiltration du monde politique belge par ces individus. Ils l'ont annoncé, en fait, dans certaines de leurs vidéos, et c'est ce qu'ils essayent de faire. Et voilà, donc c'est vraiment dangereux sur le long terme.
Ils sont organisés, ils sont sur le long terme, mais toi aussi.
Pas vraiment, parce que je trouve qu'on est, bon, je parle pour moi et les gens autour de moi, on est assez passifs. Donc, il y a un article négationniste qui sort, on répond. Un autre, on répond. Mais je ne sais pas si on a une vraie stratégie pour contrer cette vraie campagne qu'ils mènent. Et donc, en fait, je suis venue pour chercher de l'aide. Je ne sais pas s'il y a
Je pense que tu as entendu, tu es au bon endroit. Mais à la fois, autant on combat quelque chose, c'est pas notre raison d'être. Le projet génocidaire, c'était un projet de destruction. Et donc, nous sommes vivants, vous êtes vivants. C'est plus pas ce que tu es contre, mais ce pourquoi tu vis. Ce pourquoi tu vis. Et je vais rebondir en fait sur le sujet suivant. Sans avoir terminé sur le troisième, on reviendra. Le docteur Bizimana, dans son allocution hier, a parlé de la jeunesse dans des termes très élogieux. Il a dit les jeunes d'aujourd'hui sont bâtisseurs d'amour et d'humanité. Et ça me ramène à la question du fait que nous sommes des combattants, mais en fait nous sommes des bâtisseurs. Nous construisons la paix. Il y a eu un moment, il y avait une lutte armée, mais maintenant il n'y a pas de lutte armée. La paix est civile depuis 25 ans. Et j'aimerais vous entendre, en fait, nous partager comment on vit avec cette paix qui est récente et nouvelle, et cette identité qu'on cherche encore. On aimerait d'abord écouter peut-être Moses. Sorry? The question was that the past 25 years we've been at peace.
Yeah.
Although we are also fighters in Hotanyi, as Meta Mengen said. How is it for you to redefine yourself in a country which is at peace and which is also redefining itself?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I feel like there is room. There is room, there is space, there is peace, and there is plenty of opportunities for us now to explore and do what we love. And we gave it a try, and we always listen to our leaders who encourage the youth to be creative, create our own jobs, because they gave us a country with peace where we can create, explore and share our story with the world through different aspects, especially in arts. So I feel like I'm very privileged now to be Rwandan, to be called Rwandan, and with my identity in what I'm doing, because I have the support.
Yeah.
And because I have the support, I feel like I have to give back. I have to use the opportunity and do better for myself and for the future generation.
Emmanuel?
One thing that I can talk about without taking much time is that the peace, we have a peaceful country, and really I thank the leaders we have, and we are proud of them, headed by His Excellence Paul Kagame. And wherever you are in the world, if this time you tell the people that you are Rwandan, really you feel very good and comfortable. So that one, it shows that we have a peaceful country, and as a youth, we are the one to keep it, to sustain against, have the topic said, and to continue to work to develop our nation, as I mentioned before, that this is the gift only we have from God. So if we lose it, maybe we'll look like Esau, who lost the blessing to Jacob, who read the Bible.
So you are saying it's a sacred duty for us.
Exactly.
Thank you. Jessica?
Pour ma part, je pense que grâce à l'action de nos aînés, grâce au Rwanda, on peut réussir à inverser le stigmate sur les populations noires et sur les populations africaines. Et ça, c'est quelque chose qui me tient vraiment à cœur. Et par rapport à la question que tu posais juste avant, parce que pour moi c'est lié, il y a quelque chose qui m'a beaucoup aidée, c'est d'avoir participé à Itorero. Ça m'a beaucoup aidée, ça m'a renforcée d'une façon incroyable. Ça m'a donné l'histoire, la culture, l'échange avec les jeunes de toutes les catégories sociales, de tous les villages, de toutes les villes. C'était vraiment incroyable. Et je pense que, de façon globale, l'Afrique et le monde a beaucoup à apprendre du Rwanda, et nous, on va faire partie de cette construction-là.
Laure?
I think just like everybody else mentioned, we are very lucky to now have a country, and we're very lucky to have people who have paved the way for us already, and now it's on us to be able to sustain what we have, work hard, and make sure that in every field, each field in which we belong, we can do as much as we can to make sure that the gains are sustained. But especially, like for example, in my field of work, according to the WHO research, the Atlas on mental health of 2014, Rwanda is one of the 24% of the, so 24% of all the countries in the world, only 24% of all the countries in the world have a mental health policy, and Rwanda is part of them. So we're very lucky to have a country that not only the elders have paved the way, but we also have different policies that help us guide us into the next steps of where we're heading. That being said, I think, like everybody said, it's on us to now be able to work hard and sustain what we have.
I wanted you to talk more about your work and your vision for the future. I think you are a pioneer in mental health here. Please say a few words about it.
I think a lot has been done.
Don't be too modest.
A lot has been done, but my vision for the future is to prevent today, so that in the next generation doesn't suffer the pain of the previous generation. That's my vision for the future.
What is yours, Jessica?
Là, c'est complexe. Tu peux peut-être me reformuler la question?
Non, je parlais du fait que le dernier aspect, c'est que nous vivons la paix civile depuis 25 ans. Vous avez tous mentionné qu'on bénéficie d'un environnement particulier qui nous permet d'avoir des ambitions qui n'étaient peut-être pas celles de nos aînés. Moses peut faire de l'art, de la mode, il peut être dans l'agriculture et tant d'autres sujets. Et j'aimerais savoir comment tu balances toi d'ambition personnelle et le besoin et la nécessité de partager avec le reste de notre communauté. Et ta vision pour le futur.
C'est une question très complexe. Je crois qu'en fait, j'ai pas vraiment la réponse à ça dans l'immédiat. Mais peut-être que ça viendra avec les questions de la salle.
D'accord. Laetitia?
Oui, donc comme les autres ont dit, c'est vrai qu'on a cette chance d'avoir quasiment toujours connu un Rwanda en paix. Et surtout, moi, j'ai l'impression d'être un peu arrivée et de récolter les fruits du travail des autres, puisque j'ai commencé à venir régulièrement après que ma sœur a déménagé ici. Et oui, c'est vrai qu'il y a cette fierté de pouvoir venir chaque année envoyer des photos à mes amis en leur montrant, en leur disant c'est ça mon pays. Et donc, ta question, c'était comment contribuer?
Oui, ta vision pour le futur.
Alors, moi, j'aimerais tirer parti de la diplomatie rwandaise qui est hyper dynamique et vraiment du fait que tout bouge très vite au Rwanda et que les gens ont une vision. Parce que je travaille dans le milieu diplomatique à Bruxelles, c'est vraiment ça qui m'intéresse. Et en plus, je fais du chinois depuis 5 ans. Donc voilà, moi, à moyen terme, j'aimerais bien améliorer mon chinois et travailler peut-être dans les relations Rwanda-Chine, quelque chose comme ça.
J'espère que le ministre Sezibera t'entend. Il n'est plus dans la salle, mais il t'observera sûrement. Emmanuel, what is your vision for the future?
My vision, I already said, I want to feed the Rwandans as well as out of the country. And also, as I told you, I want you to come to invest in agriculture. While sustaining this done with everyone. So come invest in agriculture. We have money. The money is not only in building the housing, buying the aviations, no, in agriculture also we have money. So my vision is keeping my goal by feeding the people.
Thank you. Moses, what is your vision for the future?
Thank you. My vision is to be able to express myself through what I'm doing, the arts, and being able to share it with the world. World need to know Rwanda in a different way. So we are the ones to push really harder because you have all the opportunities and we have to share it with the world. Yeah.
Thank you. I think Rwanda does give a different image of itself today. And thanks to artists like you, they look at you and like, oh, what are you wearing? I designed it. And by the way, normally Friday is Made in Rwanda Day.
Yeah.
So do stop by Moses' store. Do stop by Haute Bazo, the jacket Jessica is wearing. She also is wearing Made in Rwanda. We have a lot to share. We have decided to keep this conversation among us short so that we can engage the room and the young people in the room on the same very topic, preserving memory and sustaining gains in a disruptive age. So the floor is yours. I'm looking at raised hands. The young lady in the center, can you just stand up? I will take 3 questions and we will go through them.
Thank you. I'm very excited by the fact that you brought that panel. I'm very happy. And my question goes to Laure. You're the CEO of Sana Initiative. Does it have any link to your story or the Rwandan genocide? And secondly, what was your motivation to start the initiative itself? Thank you.
2 more. Where are the young people in this room? Okay, so Laure will take the question.
Thank you. Yes, Sana, when I founded Sana, it was really linked to my personal experience. But I also believe that my personal experience resembles many other experiences of Rwandans here and there, in the country and out of the country. Just to mention something, Sana comes from the verb gusana, which means to mend, to rehabilitate, to reconstruct, to rebuild. And in this case, there's also Isana Mitima, from which we really took Sana, to mend the hearts. And the motivation for me to start it was the fact that noticing pain around me and wishing that it changes. But also, not just that, but also noticing that there's a lot that has happened, that has been done in the mental health field in Rwanda with different focus groups, the women, the widows, the veterans, the orphans, but realizing that there's still a lot of stigma and taboo around that very topic. The motivation was for the young generation to understand that there's no shame in anything related to mental health and mental wellness. So for us to be able to have those conversations and, again, like I mentioned, prevent from the next generation to suffer from that.
Thank you. 1 more question? 2 more questions? It's a shy audience today. Yes, Tom.
Thanks very much, moderator. I have a question not to the panel, but to the participants here present. After listening to the panelists, the theme, preserving memory and championing humanity, has challenged me to ask a question which often is not asked. We often hear and even repeat that genocide is a crime of all crimes. And fighting it requires international cooperation. And when you talk about international cooperation, you also include religious organizations like the Catholic Church, Anglican Church, and others. This year only, 3 clergymen in Chile were defrocked by Pope Francis. And another one was defrocked in Pennsylvania in the US. and there are others. And these are accused of sex crimes. We have convicted priests and convicted of genocide. None of them has been defrocked. In 2016, a Catholic bishop in Nyundo visited the prison and he celebrated Mass with the convicted genocidaire priest. Atanazi Seromba was convicted by the ICTR to life sentence because he bulldozed his church with full of Tutsis who came to look safety in that church. Today I'm aware where he is in prison, he celebrates Mass with all liturgical vestments. He celebrates Mass for fellow prisoners, maybe other followers. Same happens here in Rwanda. There are many convicted priests. Some of them they finish their sentences and go back to their diocese and they celebrate Masses. Does this organization feel genocide is a lesser crime than sexual crimes? I'm just interrogating. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Maybe, Janine, maybe we could come back for a last word from the stage for concluding.
Sure.
Thank you.
Because I think we are moving a bit out of our topic with Tom asking about the Catholic Church. As we wrap up, I understand that all of you had a moment, and sometimes you couldn't even put words on that moment where you said, this is mine to take care of, the memory. And I also understood that sometimes you felt not fully equipped, but you had to do something. I thank you for having shared your personal stories, and like you to have a final word on the theme that we're covering, which was quite large, the memory, mental health, the responsibility for us to transmit and preserve the gains. Right away on my left, I think, Moses, you are my favorite person, so go ahead.
All right, thanks. I think there is a lot to preserve, and there is visible gains for Rwanda that as youth we need to take care of, and we have to feel very responsible in our everyday activities, and we have to act, and also to remind the Rwandan youth that we always have to work collectively to be able to achieve even more together. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for putting Rwanda on the fashion map. So we look for the next fashion show, bigger store.
Definitely.
Laetitia, ton mot de la fin?
Oui. Donc, en fait, en discutant avec une amie rwandaise lundi, elle m'a appris un proverbe rwandais que je vais lire en français parce que je ne vais pas me risquer à prononcer, qui est « Les Rwandais partagent le sang, mais pas le miel ». Et c'est un sentiment que j'ai parfois en tant que Rwandaise de la diaspora, enfin à l'étranger. On est une communauté extrêmement atomisée et je pense que on gagnerait à agir de façon plus unie. Et malheureusement, paradoxalement, le fait que tout aille si bien dans le pays nous incite un peu à rester assis dans nos canapés.
Non.
Oui. Si, parfois. Et voilà, donc c'est moi ce que j'espère à l'avenir, c'est qu'il y aura de plus en plus de jeunes actifs et activistes à l'étranger et au Rwanda.
Merci. Emmanuel?
what we have to preserve is, for me, let's understand what happened as it is a shocking history to us as Rwandans, then establish the measures to rebuild or to make our lovely country great again. Language, really, I'm sorry to say this, and I will repeat. Kambivuge mu Kinyarwanda, ukajya kumva umubyeyi aravuze ngo reka ngo umwana wanjye ngo ntagazi Kinyarwanda. So abo bana tugerageze tubabwire Ikinyarwanda, nicyo gihugu cyacu bakimenye. Yes, someone cannot know Kinyarwanda because of the history, like Jessica here doesn't understand Kinyarwanda. It's because of the history we had. But to know English is good, to speak French is good, but we are Rwandans, we have to learn Kinyarwanda. Abana bacu tubigisha Kinyarwanda, then by that they will feel Rwandans. Then after having the patriotism I started with, everything will be possible. We will have Rwandan as paradise. Thank you.
Thank you. Donc Jessica, tu as un prof de Kinyarwanda à ta droite.
C'est ce que j'allais dire, tu vas m'apprendre le Kinyarwanda, Emmanuel. Moi, je rejoins Laetitia sur vraiment la nécessité d'être connecté. On est dans des combats très difficiles, on peut se sentir souvent seul, voire angoissé, en colère, comme on disait tout à l'heure. Mais en fait, on a les moyens de temps en temps de sortir la tête de l'eau et de regarder autour de nous qui on peut appeler, à qui on peut parler, comment on peut agir ensemble. Et je vais conclure aussi sur la question de l'empathie, du coup. Et réussir à vraiment faire en sorte d'être une communauté unie, pas que dans les moments tristes, mais aussi dans la réussite, dans le soutien. Voilà.
Merci.
Mine would be to remember that we cannot give what we don't have, and that there is hope in healing, and also the fact that we are the ones to document and tell our stories, so that we become the right vessels for the future generation, but also for that generation to not repeat the same mistakes.
Thank you. Thank you all for spending the afternoon with us. I don't think you have challenged these young people enough, but this is when my job ends.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup pour ta super modération. Thank you to all. Moses, Laetitia, Emmanuel, Jessica, et Laure. Thank you very, very much. Please take back your seats. And as you take your seats, I'd really like to thank you again very much for the refreshing additions to the very, very interesting conversations that happened in this room. Thank you. So as you're preparing to start our closing ceremony, I'd like to thank very much, so warmly, all the panelists and moderators that helped contributed to this conference. Thank you for your insightful, captivating, and very inspiring contribution to the conference. Thank you. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, I would like also to thank you. I'm very thankful for your deep attention and very enriching inputs. And